afternoon, everyone. I know I'm between the lunch, but make sure that you carry some good insights. I'm Sureshkumar. I'm here today to talk about how the future of healthcare is going to be defined and what are the various insights that probably we should carry and work upon. And so that's going to be the session for today. And I need not introduce United Health Group. It's ranked 5th out of the Fortune 500. It has two major divisions, United Healthcare and Optum. United Healthcare actually provides the healthcare benefits, and Optum is the digital enabler for not only United Healthcare, we also do for other insurance providers as well. I'm part of Optum. Optum has three verticals, Optum Insight, Optum RX, and Optum Care. I would like to thank Optum and Cypher team for providing this opportunity to me. Future of healthcare is going through a major transformation, primarily driven by consumerism. Consumerism in healthcare is actually changing the way healthcare is being provided today, and if you're not adapting to the needs of change, you'll be out of the business very soon. In order to appreciate consumerism, I'll definitely deep dive on some parallels, some analogy, but consumerism is also actually changing certain other way of providing care, which is basically demand for continuous care and also care at home at your own convenience. So remember this 3C, consumerism driving different ways of getting care. One is, of course, continuous care, and, of course, care at home at your convenience. Let's look at consumerism. In order to appreciate consumerism in healthcare, we should probably appreciate how consumerism transformed entertainment industry completely. 30 years back, if you walk over the street, provider decided what content you should hear. If you walk on the street, if it is a Friday evening, probably it's all Chitrahar, right? And if it's a Saturday, it's probably the same movie that probably every household will be probably watching. Today, there is a very high likelihood or very less likelihood that two people sitting next to each other watching a content on their phone watch the same content, unless and of course there are some mega events like T20 or IPL events and so on and so forth, right? This is exactly what consumerism did in entertainment industry, and today the same thing is happening in the healthcare. We will find out why it is needed, right? The number one reason is data says that not always every individual react in the same way to the drugs that are provided. It has been found through pharmacogenomics studies that 40 to 80% of the time, if you tailor the drugs to the individual needs, there is a better benefit to the individual, right? So this is just one data point. Likewise, there are multitude of other areas that are to be considered to ensure that we provide precision medicine to individuals to have a better outcome. So that's one of the needs. And of course, there are multitude of other needs which also drives consumerism. And one of them is, for example, I would like to have care at my own place, at my own point of care, right? So not where the doctor is available or where the best provider is available. So another solid reason why consumerism is changing healthcare is also because it has been found that many a times you need not actually go to the hospital to get the right care. 40% of the time, the care can be given outside the hospital as well. Luckily, last 3 years, thanks to pandemic, many people appreciated importance of not always to be at the hospital to get the care, but also you can actually get care at home. In many instances, of course, care was provided in multiple different locations as well, right? So this is one major change that is happening. And let's look at what are the key enablers for this particular change, right? Number one, of course, is availability of data. Availability of data is very, very important. Various health information exchange initiatives by different governments, including India, is actually enabling availability of data at one place. That is number one. That alone is not enough. We said consumerism is actually going to drive more precision medicine and personalized care, right? For that, a population health data is not sufficient enough. You need to have tools AI-enabled tools to be able to stratify rightly to see how do I target right personalized care for the right individuals. That is number two. And of course, pharmacogenomic studies are very critical. Today, it is not much popular, but the reality is, if you are providing drugs, for example, if you are providing a care to an individual, the reality is many drugs need a protein which is on the cell surface to be able to effectively, provide the right effect that it is given for, right? Now, the DNA varies from every individual, of course. The DNA determines whether these proteins or the receptors are there in your body, number one, and it also determines how much is available in your body. So depending upon every individual's DNA profile on how much receptor they have and what receptor they have, the effects of drug can completely vary on each individual. It can actually work very well for many. It may not work at all. And in some cases, it can actually cause adverse drug reactions as well, right? Just to understand what is the magnitude of this adverse drug reaction, in US alone, morbidity and mortality related issues due to adverse drug reaction is around $30 billion to $80 billion per year. That's the kind of magnitude we are talking about, where we would like to look forward to precision medicine and personalized care. And of course, one of the key things that are enabling all this is pharmacogenomic studies and various other developments with respect to AI and availability of data. Now, going to the next area, we said why consumerism is picking up. And of course, one of the needs of consumerism is also that continuous care. One reason for continuous care that you should probably remember is just providing right drug alone is not sufficient enough. Ensuring that the patient takes the drug is also very important to actually have a better outcome. So in order to ensure that the patient did adhere to the schedule, it is important that we also continuously monitor. This is again very, very important. So care is not just ending where you prescribe the drug, but care is continuing to make sure that we continue to monitor that adherence is also met in order to improve the outcome. So it's very, very important. And of course, with penetration of smartphones and wearables becoming more affordable with much more reliable and smart features coming in, continuous care is becoming a reality. The interesting point is 80% of the time, the data that gets generated actually is dead in the mobile phone itself. So as providers, it is our duty to see how patient can enable these data to be shared so that we can create much more value add down the line. So that's the most important action that we need to look at. And what are the various technologies? Of course, we talked about easy-to-wear wearables. 10 years back, if you have to do a ECG, you definitely needed a very well-trained technician to ensure that right points are chosen, and of course, the sensors are placed at the right place, and so on and so forth. Today, many of you might actually have a mobile phone, and there are enough gadgets which can actually enable you to do a 2-lead ECG on your own. So that's the kind of disruption that we are seeing due to wearables, IoT. And of course, another important area of concern that we had in continuous care is latency in data and the volume of data. And that is again going to change with availability of 5G technology moving forward. The third piece is care at home. Consumerism drives more personalized care, more precision medicine, and in order to make sure that the outcome is better, we want to make sure that there is a continuous care. Consumerism is also driving care at my own convenience. As we said, 40% of the time, the care can be actually given at the location of your choice. Need not necessarily be at the hospital, right? What are the various other drivers that also drives care at home? We all think that many a times hospital is actually generating revenue by keeping you in the hospital for a longer period. The truth is, it is not. Let us try to identify, or let us try to demystify this myth. The most expensive real estate in a hospital is the operation theater. The most expensive real estate in a hospital is operation theater. Post-surgery, you need an ICU where patients are, depending upon what surgery the individual went through, patients are monitored. Depending upon complications of the surgery, you monitor them either for 12 hours or 24 hours, and you actually expect them to go to the regular ward and then get discharged. That's what you expect. The more patients stay in the ICU, the longer they stay in the ICU, it becomes a bottleneck for operation theaters to be adequately utilized. It's a very important point. The most expensive real estate will experience bottleneck through ICUs if patients don't get discharged on time. So the reality is, although we may all think that, like hospitals do want us to be staying in the hospital for longer so that they can generate revenue, the reality is it is not. They want us to go out faster so that they can serve more and they can utilize some of the expensive real estate for the right purposes. That's a reality, right? So now, there are other related complications also that arise the more you stay in hospital, which is basically hospital-acquired infections as well. So it has been found that almost 30% of patients actually experience lesser complications if they are discharged faster and care is continued at home, right? There are hospitals in India who say that post-surgery, within 12 hours to 24 hours, depending upon the type of surgery, they do say that, hey, you can actually carry home with you patient monitor, and we will also provide a nurse if needed, depending upon the complication. And you can be at home at your convenience and monitored for next 4 to 5 days and get well, right? So this has been provided by some of leading hospitals in our country as well. So care at home is another very important phenomena that is happening in this particular area. And again, thanks to the last 3 years, people are appreciating that it works better for them as well. Number one reason is, of course, in countries like India, if someone has to go to an hospital, definitely they need a dependent to be there, and it impacts their livelihood as well, big time, right? So if I can actually have care at home, it benefits everyone as well. So another important point that you need to consider for this is, in another 5 years, almost 500 million population in India and China will be 65 plus. That's another upcoming reality that is happening. It's almost 1.5 times of US population. So geriatric care is growing big, and of course, a lot of old age people nowadays are living alone with kids not around. It only becomes more important that we do right solutions, we develop right sensors to be able to manage their care while they are alone or isolated in whatever location that they are in. Now let's quickly look at some of the technologies that are like enabling care at home. Number one, of course, portable medical devices. If you go to any hospital, most of the time the triaging happens with a portable medical device. The idea is, why don't you take the same portable medical device to home, and because you have better IoT devices which can actually translate the information, make certain decisions then and there, and also inform the right people. And of course, 5G will only make it faster, reducing the latency and ensure that data packets go very quickly, right? So all these are happening, right? So the truth is, we already have enough portable devices which are actually being used in the hospital, and now they are getting miniaturized as well, right? If you look at any conference of IoT devices that you go to, you see that every year these devices are getting miniaturized, and that actually provides much more different possibility for all of us to be able to utilize them to provide care at home. I will summarize overall what we looked at in 2 different ways. Number one, so far if you look at the way we have actually looked at how we will utilize healthcare information data is typically focused on the top. We typically pick up information on EHR, EMR, and so on and so forth, and that alone is not sufficient to meet the challenge of rising consumerism. As you would have seen earlier, EMR, EHR data just provides only 8% of the information that is needed to be able to provide personalized care, to be able to provide precision medicine. And personalized care and precision medicine being the future, this data alone is not sufficient. You do need data probably enabled by the patients through wearables, through smartphones, through SDOH and various other means into the system to be able to actually provide a better care. So the focus or the disruption is going to actually happen through the bottom that you see here, and which will be driven by individuals thanks to the rapid consumerization that is happening in the healthcare. With that, I will pause, would invite questions on this topic. And once again, thank you Cypher team and Optum team for providing this opportunity and platform. Thank you.